Hey guys, it's Mark from Periphery, and this entry I wanted to talk a little bit about how I use sliding around different registers on the fretboard to create a sense of movement and fluidity. There's a lot of leads sometimes you can get away with playing on one register, and while you're hitting all the right notes, sometimes you want a little sort of extra movement in there, even if it's not all the way there. So playing the same notes, but sliding to a different register to play them just to add that different layer to it. There's a couple leads that I play on the new album that sort of focus on sliding around from different register to register. I could easily play the same notes in the same register, but I wanted a little bit more movement. So the first example I'm going to play for you is from the solo of The Bad Thing. And there's a couple sections on that solo where I could stay in the same register and essentially hit all the same notes that I wanted to hit, but I chose to shift up a register on the fretboard, not an octave, but actually play the same note for note lick, but in a different register on the fretboard. So I'll go over one of the licks from The Bad Thing for you. So the lick begins actually with the first note being on the upbeat. So it comes in a little bit awkwardly if you're starting at this point. So it comes on the upbeat. So the first lick is interesting because you can play it in this register. You don't even have to slide up and do all this fancy stuff. You can just play it down here. And that would sound like. And by playing the lick that I played on the album, you're playing the same notes, but you're just adding a different sense of movement and a feeling of fluidity that you wouldn't get otherwise. And that would go like this. Sounds much more interesting and just easy to listen to. So the next lick in the solo is a sequence of two-note harmonies that I connect with slides. And that begins like. So again, you could probably play that in one register, but I like the sense of the movement that the sliding gives it. It sounds literally like you're climbing something or like something's ascending. And I feel that matches very well with the flashiness of the solo. And the last lick in the solo is just played here on the higher register, and it makes use again of some more slides. So again, slower, that's. And getting from this shape to this one is a little bit tricky, but I like to plan my move up to the higher register while I'm still playing this lick, which is why I can get tricky, play at a fast speed. So while you're playing this first series of notes, as my finger is on this 15th fret, I'm already getting ready to slide up to the 21st fret here. Basically play a chord. So that would go. And again, this is a unison bend here. You're just making this note match the second string. So that last lick, I play that chord that's pretty stretched out in comparison to the rest of the solo. Everything else is kind of mashed together, seconds and thirds, notes that are very close to each other. That last chord is very spread apart, which adds much different context and dynamic. So when you hear it, it kind of catches you off guard a little bit, and that's very intentional. So the notes are very spread out from each other, which is pretty different than how the solo was before it. A lot of notes mashed up against each other, whereas this is very open and wide in terms of intervals. The intention with this lick, which is from the song Priestess on Juggernaut Omega, the intention was to sort of create a sense of movement. Again, I could play these same notes in one register at least the first couple licks. I could play it all the same register, but I chose to include some slides to create that sense of movement. So that first lick is a repeating shape, but I'm just sliding up to it. So I'm hammering on with my pinky, pulling off back to my first finger, and then right when I pull off, I'm sliding up to the 9th fret right here. So that sounds like, and that's how the next lick begins. So you have, and again, that's another slide when I could easily play those notes over here, but the slide is simply to add the fluidity. So you slide up, slide right back down. One other interesting thing to note would be I slide up on my pinky, and then I slide back down with my ring finger, which I'm not typically used to doing. And I do this solely so I can begin the next lick with my pinky, which you kind of need to in this respect. So I slide up with my pinky, and I slide back down with my ring finger. And again, I'm kind of just shifting the same shape into different positions here. And again, it's all anchored by the slides because I wanted the slides to be the focus of the licks.